You're impossible. Howdy peoples, and happy St. Patrick's Day. It's all the excuse I need to do a corned beef. This is about a 4-pounder, a round instead of a brisket, and I'm going to bake it just exactly like I did it last year, which was the best corned beef I have ever had. Now you want to wash it thoroughly, because aside from not knowing where it's been, they have been soaking for probably a month or so in a salt brine solution. So you want to wash off a bunch of the salt as much as you can. Next step, drop it into a roasting pan lined with enough foil to thoroughly wrap it loosely and seal it. Fat side up. Now we need to decorate it. Start by sticking about a dozen or so cloves in it. Trying to get them to stay in can sometimes be an interesting trick. Now we want to coat it with about 1/4 cup of some sweet hot mustard. And then sprinkle it with about 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. And when you're done mucking around with it, wrap it up loosely and seal it airtight. And stick it in a 350-degree oven for 2.5 to 3 hours. And go play with something else. course we need bacon. You always need bacon. If you're not sure if you're going to need it, go ahead and cook some and you'll find some reason to need it. If only to munch on while you're waiting for everything else to cook. Now for the cabbage. I'm using a half a head, and I'll slice it roughly in half-inch slices. Sample it. Down here, throw all this in a pot. And now we'll dice up a couple of cloves of garlic and about half an onion. Just a coarse chop is good. Throw all of this in there. Now we'll get it over the heat. Add a cup of beef stock. About a half a teaspoon of caraway seed. A teaspoon of dill weed, a tablespoon of vinegar, a teaspoon or so of sugar, some arbitrary amount of salt and pepper, whatever looks good. And for grins, maybe a teaspoon of crushed red pepper. Put a little pizzazz in it. And then bacon. The last piece is mine. Mix this all together, which will be easier done after it's cooked about halfway down. Throw the top on it and let it cook for about a half hour. Now we've got to have some new potatoes. This is about 3/4 of a pound. That'll work. And I'm going to probably about quarter them. That looks about right. Now into a pot. Okay, now at the last minute, throw in some fresh green beans. Just long enough to lightly steam and blanch them. Now, we thoroughly drain them. Add a generous amount, maybe a quarter of a cup, of EVOO. A nice teaspoon of rosemary. A few grinds of salt and pepper. And now we mix these all together. Making sure everything is evenly coated with the EVOO. And then we lay them out up here in a single layer on a baking pan. Scrape out all the good stuff that didn't come out with them. And now we'll stick this in a 425-degree oven for about 10 minutes until the potatoes start to get nicely crispy. Meanwhile, the corned beef is done. It's resting. It's about time to open it up and see what it looks like in there. Very careful, because it's very steamy in there and it will burn you. Let go. There we go. Lots of juice. Feels done to me. I have to cut off a sample. I'm about to wait until it hits the plate. Come to me. Hot. Oh, this is good. And here we are. The corned beef. Some deviled eggs that I made yesterday. Potatoes and beans, and the cabbage. And a genuine imported Irish beer. all the way from Milwaukee. I believe it's time to dig in. Down, white fang. A little of this. A little of the cabbage. Good stuff.